Come to Helmuth Ford, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
Skunk River Radio, country music from 1990 through 2010 with some Iowa country music sprinkled in. Listen at skunkriverradio.com, download the app, listen on Alexa by saying, Alexa, play Skunk River Radio on TuneIn. Skunk River Radio will also be available on Google Assistant in the near future. You can listen to me, Steve Shuttler, each weekday morning from 6 a.m. to noon, and listen to The Haze from noon to 6 p.m. Skunk River Radio, online radio for country music from 1990 to 2010. Why is my microphone working? I don't know. Hello. I think they can hear me out there in Raceland. Welcome into Tuesday Night Tune-Up here on Steve Shuttler Media, Facebook and YouTube, and Skunk River Radio, Facebook as well. We are live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch every Tuesday night for TNT. And, of course, it's always kids night, and also the internet Wi-Fi is going kind of in and out. This is off to a great start tonight. Let's just go to Save Krafke right off the bat. He is sitting by with Ashley and Cole. Guys, what's up?
Hey, welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. And we are here with the new general manager of the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. We have Ashley with us here tonight. Ashley, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me,
And
Save.
congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you very much.
So you have big shoes to fill from Marla. So how's that going so far?
I do. It's going okay. You know, I'm one of the few GMs that has worked from the bottom up instead of coming in from the outside. So I've got a little bit more know-how. There is a lot of things to do, but I work really hard at what I do. Anybody that's in here can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, looking on the Facebook page, which you guys post quite often on, you guys are doing some incredible things. And one of them that I just saw was you had a scholarship giveaway. And why don't you go a little more in depth on everything that happened there?
Yeah, we had basically a contest for high school and college students, and today I was able to write a big check to Gracie DeRonde of Oskaloosa for a $1,000 scholarship.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
And so,
really proud.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys are stepping up in our community like that. And speaking of stepping out and helping out, a few weeks ago when we were here, you had a community impact night. And I know that there is a very important one coming up, and we were talking a little bit about that. Why don't you tell everyone what's going on with your next community impact night here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch?
So this will be my first community impact night by myself. It is for the family of Lindsay Overton. It has special meaning to me. She was in my class in high school.
Okay.
All right. So she has a son, a little boy. He needs open heart surgery coming up. So on Wednesday the 25th from 5:30 to 7, we'll be doing a fundraiser here. A percentage of all of our sales during that time will be going to that family. We're also going to be collecting donations. And then also, just for fun, his name is Emmerich. Little Emmerich is going to be selling his drawings for $5. And we'll also be having a silent auction for some work coupons that he's made to give out to people for when he gets better. Things like light yard work, like picking up sticks. This kid loves playing with like his toy machinery. He wants to work with machines and excavators and snow plows and things like that when he works up. So these are just things that he loves to do. We love helping the community. Like, let's do this.
Absolutely, and that is going to be on June 25th.
Yep, June
correct?
25th.
Wednesday, June 25th?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, make sure if you're watching, do come out and support the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch that night. It's just incredible what you guys are doing in our community. We really want to thank you for everything that you are doing. You're going to continue to do here.
Yeah.
We wish you the best of luck with your new position, and we know that
Thank you.
you're going to do just great here. So.
Thanks very much, Safe.
All
I
right.
appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to bring on our guest for the night, Mike Mayberry, up here next in just a few minutes.
When you need a break, Pizza Ranch is ready. Rough day or good day, sometimes you just need a buffet. And we've got all your favorites always ready to serve. Come to the place that puts a smile on your face. Make it a buffet day at Pizza Ranch.
Got a problem under the hood? At Sinclair Napa, we're here to help. No matter if you're tuning up the family car, gearing up your heavy-duty truck, or maintaining your boat, we have the know-how you need to keep your ride running strong. Whether it's top-notch parts, expert advice, or unbeatable customer service, Sinclair Napa is your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Because at Sinclair Napa, we don't just sell parts, we're here to help you get the job done. Stop by today in Sigourney, Montezuma, Williamsburg, Centerville, or Ottumwa, or visit us at sinclairnapa.com.
Hi, I'm Krista Sellers, driver of the 7K Figure 8 race truck. I race at local figure 8 tracks across southern Iowa. One of my good sponsors is CJ at Sigourney Motors. Next time you or someone you know is looking for a good used vehicle or in need of some minor repairs, you can contact CJ at Sigourney Motors. Give them a call at 641-224-8056 or stop by 705 East Jackson Street in Sigourney, Iowa. Hope to see you at the races or at CJ's shop.
Stop by James Family Greenhouse and Produce in Sigourney. They have a variety of hanging baskets, annuals, shrubs, perennials, trees, mulch, and vegetable plants. Plus, you can spruce up your landscape with yard decor or decorate the inside of your home with home decor. James Family Greenhouse is also a great place to stop in for some gift ideas. You gotta stop in and see it all for yourself. James Family Greenhouse at 701 East Jackson in Sigourney. And be sure to follow their page on Facebook. All right, we thank all of our sponsors here on Tuesday Night Tune-Up. Again, we're live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch in Oskaloosa at the Penn Central Mall. And yeah, we do have Safe Grafke and Cole Vanderwall standing by, and they have our guest for this evening. Safe, take it away.
Folks, this driver comes to us from Fremont, Iowa, driving the Pro Sprints number 0. It is Mike Mayberry. And Mike, thank you for coming on and being with us here on this rainy Tuesday night.
Yeah, thanks, Safe, for having me. Appreciate it.
So, Mike, you are driving in the Pro Sprint class at Knoxville, Iowa. What is that like, week in and week out, getting to go to the sprint car capital of the world and race?
It's actually pretty cool. Realistically, it's a what I guess I'd say like a working man's class. And you get, like I said, you get to race sprint car capital of the world. I mean, it's the nicest facility in the country as far as sprint cars are concerned.
Yeah, so you spent a lot of time at Knoxville. We've seen you also run a non-wing car as well some. And so going through those, you know, you have the downforce on a wing sprint car, and then you have no wings. How hard is it to flip that switch in your brain back and forth when you run a non-wing car to getting back into a wing car?
It's probably not too bad, except realistically, like the non-wing car we had, Frank Tharp built the engine. He built, quite honestly, a pretty good hitter. So it was probably about 150 more horse than what we were used to at Knoxville. So that was probably the biggest thing that took some getting used to.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's a big difference, and you know, just not having the downforce either. I'm sure that's a little more tricky.
Yeah. You kind of gotta remember, you know, not to, because you know, Knoxville, you go into the corner wide open, and just let that wing do its work. And whereas you go in the corner and you've got to let it go, you know, you got to roll off the throttle pretty quick with a non-wing car, or you're going to be in the fence.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, a big thing in sprint car racing that I hear a lot of guys talk about is chassis manufacturers. I know there is a few out there. There's not necessarily as many in the sprint car world as you see in like IMCA or other things, but what are some of the biggest differences and some of the things you look for when you're getting a chassis and you're getting into it, as far as, you know, maybe support or setup wise? What's that look like on a sprint car side?
Well, there's still probably like 3 or 4 major manufacturers in sprint car racing. We chose XXX for ours, and it's essentially it would be very similar to a Maxim. We utilize Tony Bieber out in Ohio. He has a process he calls bitch slapped, and it basically he puts it on machine table and then heats the frame back up. Because what happens normally when in the chassis building process is when they're making the welds, it'll actually start to distort the chassis a little bit, and actually the left frame will come back up a little time they're done, which as it raises the left, it will make the car a little tighter. So he actually just makes sure he relieves all the welds in the front half of the car to basically make sure that left frame rail's down.
Interesting. Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing is there are some different ones out there, and just as important in the chassis is what you go with for a top wing. And again, there's some different manufacturers in that, and what's the process look like on that side too, since, you know, there are different ones and guys talk about, well, if you don't run a Vortex, then you're not running a good wing, or you're not running this, or you're not running that. What are some of the biggest differences that you notice there?
Sure. Well, we're on a flat top, which I would probably say most of the flat top manufacturers, because I think the sport of sprint car racing is trying to kind of get away from the dish wing. I know the 360 class, I'm not sure. I don't believe at Knoxville they're going to allow it next year. I think not Knoxville next year will be all flat top wings, but since we live in Iowa, I try to support local business, so we go with Vortex wings. Linton Jeffrey's always been good to me in Prairie City, and then also we'd run Kaiser wheels because they're from Orange City, Iowa. So.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. And Mike, you've been in this sport a long time, and what are some of the biggest things that you see happening in the direction of sprint car racing throughout the years? Are we heading down a good path with the sport, or is it getting to kind of a point where we're in a, like, I don't know what could happen here?
I think it's kind of a two-part question, really, because if you look at the professional level, I think the sport's in a really good place. You've got the High Limit Series, you've got the Outlaws, and obviously so far they've both had enough talent to sustain each brand. As far as locally, you know, small budget guys, it gets tough. You know, I've watched a couple of interviews with Donnie Schatz, and he mentions about that. You know, racing is all expendable income for these businesses and teams, and quite honestly, the just prices keep going up. You know, we've got a tire manufacturer. I'm not going to mention their name, obviously, but. They keep making a product that's worse and worse, and it costs about $340 a piece now. So our tire bill has probably gone from 4 or 5 years ago to maybe $3,000 or $4,000 to we're probably right at around seven to eight right now, and that's counting on being able to run a rear set 2 nights.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
It's absolutely crazy. And then, you know, you look at a track like Knoxville, like you kind of talked about earlier, how they've always been a standard for safety and everything like that. How do you see that affecting other tracks, or talking to drivers about how well Knoxville is, and then looking at other tracks that, you know, they travel to and whatnot?
Well, I can't speak a lot on that, just for the fact that we haven't gone to Knoxville or outside Knoxville very often. But it's definitely nice to have the KRCO with their program, and Knoxville safety team is second to none. And I do think that I know both the Outlaws and I believe High Limit both have a traveling safety crew with them. But yeah, it does matter. It's like as I get a little bit older, when I was a little bit younger, like Cole's age, I'd roll into a racetrack and I didn't look if there was an ambulance, or might be 1 or 2 guys with jeans on with a fire extinguisher in the corners, and that's what it was, and I didn't really think about that. But as you get a little older, you do definitely look when you get there of what their safety stuff is. Right.
And you know, the one thing I find really cool about your team is your dad, Steve, being there with you, and you know, he helps on the car quite a bit and whatnot. And how nice is it for you to have your dad in your corner with you in there for, you know, all your big moments and whatnot that you've had at Knoxville?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think we've raced now for roughly 21 years, and I think he's maybe missed 3 or 4 races that whole time.
Wow.
And we fight like cats and dogs sometimes. It's not gonna lie. We're just sometimes it's not good, but he's like my best friend. So I mean, I always appreciate it, and definitely glad. And it's getting to the point realistically where I think sometimes his desire to go is more than mine.
It's tough, and that's one thing I want to talk about is you mentioned it when we were talking about the sport of sprint car racing right now, and I think a big thing to talk about right now is the High Limit series. Now I know you don't run with that series, but you're as well informed on what's going on in the sport as Cole and myself here. And High Limits is kind of coming in. It seems they have got back to the old school Outlaws, I want to say, of the traveling, new tracks, getting locals more involved with it. What do you see for the future in your perspective right now for High Limits versus the Outlaws?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I really do think that, they're selling the same product, right? I think maybe possibly that what the High Limit has going for them is they've got a couple of drivers, obviously Aaron Reitzel, Corey Day. They've got a couple of guys that I'm not going to say are any better or worse than the Outlaw drivers because obviously you've got, Donnie Shantz, who's the obviously most successful sprint car driver right now out there.
Right.
But I just think they've got some guys that are willing to make moves and stand on. It's a little bit more higher pace, a little bit better tempo, I think, right now.
Absolutely. And what do you think about how their whole night works with their, they do the dice roll and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. Do you think that is helping them a lot with some of the other things they're doing? How do you see that?
Well, I guess I don't know because, I mean, I'm probably not a good one to ask because I'm 46 and I grew up on the Outlaws, so
Sure.
Some of that stuff is maybe not what I'd prefer. But at the same time, I guess, if it gets more fan interaction and, I've not personally been to a High Limit race personally yet, but I mean, if it gets a crowd involved, I mean, can't beat it.
So you've been in this for 21 years. You said, why don't you take us through some of your backstory for the people that might not know you or it's their first time listening to you as well. Talk about how you got into racing and to the point of where you are now racing pro sprints at Knoxville.
Well, I was just, let me see, when I first started, I had bought a house when I was 20, had gotten most of that paid off, and that was just when the 305 series started. And there was a guy named Lee Clark in Fremont that my dad was friends with, and he kind of had this idea of the 305 series, and it sounded good because by that time I'd kind of given up on racing as far as wanting to get into racing, because by that time the 360s were roughly about $40,000. That's about what I paid for my first house. So, I was kind of like, I don't think I'm going to be able to afford that. And then 305s came around. Then they had another series come about. I'm trying to think, probably like maybe 2005, I think, somewhere that their home track is basically Bloomfield. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty close to the town where I lived. And so I got a second mortgage on my first house. I was young and single and dumb, so that's what I did. And we went racing.
That's awesome. And so, the thing is, racing at Knoxville, what's it like sometimes when you get into these drivers' meetings and you're seeing, some of the outlaw guys there and whatnot? Is it kind of a different mindset when you're having to race and they're there and they're watching and stuff versus kind of a regular, just weekly show at all? Does that kind of seem to be a little different at all?
I guess not really as far as race and mentality of it, but I mean, definitely as you're walking through the pits, you kind of turn into kind of awestruck, some guys around you, but other than that, as far as when you get on the racetrack, I don't think so.
Right. And so another big thing in sprint cars is shocks and whatnot, and you guys run are you still on the Super?
Yep,
Super
we're on
Shock?
a Super Shock, yep.
So what's that look like as far, because they're a little different than some of your average shocks.
Yep.
So why don't you talk about how you feel the Super Shocks do and kind of maybe what you see as an advantage with those?
Well, I think we've been on Super Shock now for, probably 18 years or so. And Brian over at Super Shocks in Illinois is just an absolute. It doesn't matter if you're. So Super Shocks kind of became real popular with Sammy Swindell. Sammy was a driver that utilized them at first, but Brian really treats, as far as I'm concerned, Brian treats every customer just. I mean, it could be me or it could be Sammy. And he's been good to work with, and really the only thing different about the Super Shock is they still run like the compression can is external, where some of the other brands have kind of gone all internal stuff. But they're all really about the same now. But like I said, I think what keeps me with Super Shocks is customer service.
And when you talk about building a sprint car, shocks, wings, chassis, all that, what are some other big things that you guys have to take care of on a maintenance side every week? What's kind of a in and out week look like as far as maintenance to get ready to go to the next track or just Knoxville?
Probably the nice thing with our engine packs, the Pro Sprint, the Crate CT 525, is that basically our weekly maintenance is just search your air cleaner. We go every 3 nights on our oil and filter and clean the torque tube, re-grease the torque tube, wash the car. We'll check ride heights and just kind of start looking at stuff, see things getting worn or bolt check it. But that's the nice thing about the class is it's very minimal. It's really good for the working guy.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's awesome to be able to still run a sprint car and have that when you are a working individual. You're like I talked earlier, your dad helps you out, Steve, which is awesome, but your kids as well, and your daughter Taylor, she's married to Jarrett Vandenberg who races. So how cool is that for you to see that? And I know you come and try to watch them sometimes and whatnot. How awesome is that seeing that side of things now too?
Oh yeah, it's definitely cool. I have not yet got to watch Jarrett race this year yet. I've given him some money for tires, but I haven't got to watch him race. But no, and I just think it's awesome. I think Taylor really loves it, and she really loves Jarrett, obviously, and they seem to be having a great time with it. So, maybe someday we'll get them talked into racing a sprint car.
There you go. Cool. Do you have any desire to try racing a sprint car?
I don't know. I've thought about it, but it's pretty scary.
There you go, Mike. If you ever have a spare car, he'll
Okay.
rent it from you for a night.
Yeah.
There you go. We can see how Cole does in a sprint car. That could be interesting, Cole.
Yeah, it definitely would be one of those things I've never driven before. So.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you coming on here, and we know that it takes a lot to keep a sprint car team going.
Sure.
I mean, it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of money.
Yep.
Like you said, with tires going up and everything, and there's also you got to have a great pit crew.
Yep.
At Knoxville, especially getting down in the work area, tire, everything like that. So, who all do you want to thank for being on your car and coming to Knoxville week in and week out with you?
First, probably a couple people. Obviously, Frank Tharp, Napa of Albia, Tharp Enterprises. Andrew Schroeder at Schroeder Graphics and Signs, been a long-time sponsor. Midland Performance, Super Shocks, Kaiser Wheels, Fire Coat Custom Powder Coating. Then obviously my dad. He's been with me, obviously, a long time. Mark Sims, who I believe is in his 13th year with me, which is amazing.
Awesome.
My wife Lindsay, she goes every week or about every week. Then we've got Chris Pale this year with us, who's related to Lindsay, and then we've got Dave Seddon, who actually is renting a car from me. So he pitted the first half of the year, and now he's renting a car from me.
Oh, that's awesome. And one last thing I want to talk about is you always have a awesome paint scheme on that car because of Andrew Schroeder down there and stuff. Is there any story at all behind having a sunset in the Zero?
Yeah,
I've always been curious about that.
It's kind of funny. So when I was little, my dad took me to Knoxville, And I had a couple friends when I was in elementary and then junior high that their family was just going like Oski or Eldon. And I had a good friend of mine, his brother-in-law at the time, we were like 13, his sister quite a bit older. So we used to go watch him in Eldon, and Bobby Griner Jr. used to race, and he had that in the 99 for a long time.
That's right.
And it said, and it was on the back car, it was racing
would've
into
never known that, Cole.
It was like racing into paradise. So that was actually a car, which is kind of funny. It's full circle. That car was actually built by Randy Schroeder, Andrew's dad. So we just kind of hit me, and I'm like, remember Bobby's car? We had that Sunset, and so that's how it worked out.
That is awesome. That's a really cool story.
Yeah.
That's some good homage right there
Yep.
to Bobby, who obviously was one of the best
Yep, definitely.
in dirt track racing.
Yep.
So that's really cool, Mike.
Yep.
And we really appreciate you coming on here and talking to us a little bit about your racing background and racing in pro sprints. So if anyone wants to come watch you, you will be at Knoxville running.
I hope so.
Yes, yeah.
We got a bit of engine issues right now, so we're gonna try to figure those out. And then, since we're not in the points, we're gonna try some different stuff. I don't know. It's up in the air for like July 5th. We might be in Burlington. We might be in Knoxville. We haven't decided yet.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck the rest of this year. Thank you for coming on again.
I'll say
and
thank
talking to
you.
us. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you, Cole.
Nice to meet you,
All
too.
right, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
At Copeland Auto Body, we strive to be the area's consistent provider of advanced collision repair. We want all of our customers to have a stress-free experience when they bring their car to Copeland Auto Body. Give them a call at 641-653-2140. Find them online at CopelandAutoBody.com. Copeland Auto Body, located in Hedrick, Copeland Collision Center in Oskaloosa, and Copeland Towing and Recovery in Sigourney. For auto body and towing for Hedrick, Oskaloosa, and Sigourney, see Copeland Auto Body.
At Nutrien Ag Solutions, we are dedicated to your success. We partner with growers like you to expand your possibilities with unparalleled offerings. Your unique challenges are met with more customized solutions than anyone else can offer. With you, we're feeding the future together.
If you've had a run-in with a deer, a fender bender, or any sort of accident with your vehicle, take it to Tony and the guys at Sigourney Body Shop at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. They'll get you back on the road in no time, and Tony will help you out with a free estimate. It's service with a smile at Sigourney Body Shop. Give them a call at 641-622-2022, or again, stop in at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. Julie's Homestyle Cafe at 216 South Market in Oskaloosa is a small place with a great big taste of home cooking. Established in 2009, Julie's Homestyle Cafe serves breakfast, lunch. You can have a slice of pie, dessert, and soft drinks. Julie's Homestyle Cafe is a veteran-owned cafe serving traditional breakfast and homemade lunch meals just like Mom used to make. Find more information at julieshomestylcafe.com or follow their page on Facebook. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We are live from your Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, where you can stop in every Tuesday night for Kids Night for that delicious chicken and pizza here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. All right, we take it back to Safe and Cole. Guys, take it away.
Welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and what an awesome night we have had so far. We got to talk to Ashley, the new general manager here, and we got to talk to Mike Mayberry, driver in the pro sprint class over at Knoxville. And Cole, what a last week we had here with racing, huh?
Yeah, there was a lot of racing going on last week, that's for sure.
There is. Did you get to watch any of the high limit race at Eagle at all, or see anything on that?
No, I didn't. We raced last Wednesday.
Unbelievable.
And Thursday, so.
It was Tuesday night, Cole.
I do tires on Tuesday nights.
Oh, okay. So how's that going on the tire side of things right now?
Pretty good.
How many tires do you have to prep on average?
On average a week, I'm probably doing at least 16, and sometimes it's up to like 35 a week.
That's a lot of tires, Cole. That is a
Yeah.
lot of tires. So, unfortunately, Tuesday night, you missed it. There was a great race over at Eagle, $55,555 to win with the High Limit Series, and a World of Outlaw driver won it, Buddy Kofoid.
Jeez, you haven't heard that name winning for a while.
You have not, and so Buddy had a good race. Was leading almost every lap. Corey Day got in the mix there. Unfortunately, with 5 laps to go, Corey went a little too hard out of turn 2 down into the backstretch, and he yard sailed it all the way out of the track almost. Actually, the one fence that had a chance of stopping him actually stopped him. It was a horrible looking wreck. I think everyone was a little concerned there. And the first thing he says is, well, I really wanted to win $55,000.
Yeah.
So I was going to drive it like I wanted to win $55,000.
Yeah, I don't think can't ever take a break when you're going for 50 grand.
No, I mean, and that would be hard. And, you know, Corey's a very good driver, drives for Jason Myers Racing, and Jason, you know, one of the best to be in a wing sprint car. I think anyone you could argue that against, but we know that he is the best, one of the best. So to get that leadership, now Corey races for Hendrick as well, some on the truck side and ARCA and whatnot. So what a future that young man has. And then for Kyle Larson to say that Corey's better than him, what a compliment, huh?
Yeah, that would be a pretty cool compliment to hear, especially from Kyle Larson.
Yeah, so Tuesday night we had that, and then that led into the Outlaws coming to Knoxville for a 2-day show for the Chevy Premier Dealers Clash. And along with that, you had a bunch of the high limit drivers show up as well. And what would happen at Knoxville for the Chevy Dealers Clash other than a driver with the High Limit Series winning the race?
Wow.
So 3 high limit drivers were in the top 5. And I believe 2 of them were also outlaw drivers. It was just a wild show. So Corey Day won. So Corey Day wins after being in second up until 5 to go at a high limits race. So then he comes back and wins. So you had Day, Gravel, Kofoid, Macri, and Brad Sweet. So you had, again, 3 of the top 5 cars there were high limits because Anthony Macri technically is a high limit driver.
Yep.
But just to see that. And then the guy who's leading in points at Knoxville has won 3 features at Knoxville. Ryan Timms, he gets 6th after starting 3rd. Brad Sweet started on the pole and went back to 5th. So it was kind of a surprising night. And then Brian Brown had a hard time transferring out of the B into the A. So he hasn't been on his game this year. We see Ryan Timms, who we've heard about. He's been racing up here some, not much success, and then you see him having this success this year. And then you see Brian Brown, who's ran at Knoxville for a very long time, called Mr. Knoxville and everything and whatnot, and you see him having a bad year. It's just crazy to see things that are happening in the sprint car racing world right now.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. You don't really know the outcome every night. I mean, some IMCA shows and stuff around here, you can just know there's going to be 3 cars that are at the track that are going to be up for the win, but that stuff you really just don't know.
So I'm glad you're talking about IMCA, which now stands for, what is it, like something motor claiming, the Independent Motor Claiming Association. Cole, what do we have going on in IMCA right now?
A lot of motor claiming for the sport.
How
mods.
many motor claims and sport mods do you know of that have happened in the last month?
At least 5 or 6.
And in hobby stocks, we have seen 4.
Jeez.
The world of IMCA, as we know it, is going to engine claiming right now. And that begs a lot of question, I think, is why we are seeing engine claiming become a thing right now.
What I heard about that Luft, that Matthew Luft, he's gotten 2 motors claimed in 2 nights, but he refused the second night, so he's on a 30-day suspension, and he had to pay a $1,000 fine for it. But supposedly there's some guy up there that don't want him to win national points this year, so he's paying these guys to go claim him.
So it's so interesting because I feel like it's been a long time since I've heard of at least more than 2 engine claims. Really, you don't even hear about 2 engine claims in a year hardly anymore. Now all of a sudden we have this whole spree, but it's weird because it's more than just in one class. And I know for a fact that on the IMCA Doom Scroll, which is one of my new favorite pages to watch, and if you don't ever go on IMCA Doom Scroll, you need to go on after this show. You have to wait till this show is done to do it. But go on there and watch some of the clips and stuff. It is absolutely hilarious. It is absolutely some of the best clips. But I think the one that sticks out in my head more than anything right now, it's a hobby stock feature. They're lining up on the track. They have not started yet or anything. And a guy goes around, finds a track official, tells him, I'm going to claim someone tonight. They literally knew that they were going to claim someone right there on the spot. They just said, and then they announced it over the loudspeaker. And I'm like, that's probably the worst thing you can do now is announce to the stands that there's going to be an engine claim. Because if I'm the driver that knows he's going to get claimed, I wouldn't want to race. I'd want to pull it into my trailer and
I'd
probably leave.
Probably just start the race so I can get at least last place money instead of tow. But
right. So, I mean, I think it's just very odd right now that we're seeing these engine claims. And whether it's because someone doesn't want someone to win national points or something like that, I mean, is this really what it's coming down to do that so they get a 30-day suspension? I mean, how crazy is this?
I don't know. I think it's pretty dumb. But then, like, if you refuse 2 motor claims, you have to pay like a $5,000 or $10,000 fine, and you have to be suspended from IMCA for a year.
I don't understand this. I really don't. I think IMCA needs to go take a hard look at their own rule book and do something about this, because this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. I mean, I get it that they want to have the claim rule, and I get that, and I understand. And back in the day, that used to be the rave, was engine claiming. I mean, I remember growing up going to Oskaloosa, and you'd see engine claims happen and whatnot, and that was kind of part of it, but sometimes it's because you were mad at someone else, and then later you'd work it out and you'd like sell them the engine back. A lot of guys didn't even put them in. Some guys did, or if they knew they were going to get claimed, they'd build a kind of cobbled together motor or something. But that was different then.
Yeah.
Now we're at a point where
motors are costing $8,000 instead of back then they were like $2,500, $2,000. So then
right.
You're only out $2,000, but now you're out $7,000.
And that's what I don't fully agree with it anymore. And then with the whole, if you have a crate, then it's like this, yada, yada, yada. I don't understand why we're getting to the point that we're getting with engine claiming right now. It's been ridiculous. I mean, at least that I've heard of have been at least 10 to 12 claims in the last month and a half, which is quite ridiculous.
Yeah, very much. It's just dumb. It's one of those things that they're going to run themselves out of cars, maybe, but
yeah, I mean, if it keeps up this way, what do you think is next?
People are just going to start buying crates, so then IMCA can get their like $250 from each one sold.
Yeah, I mean, it's no matter what, they're making money, so they could really care less. It's the drivers and the teams and the engine builders that are going to suffer. Not the crate guys, not the crate builders. I'm talking the guys that build the open motors are going to suffer, and I do not understand. There is not 1 ounce of me that understands why we are heading in this direction. I don't. It really takes away from what I feel is the real, true grassroots racing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like having someone get like their motor pumped or something at the races too. It's like they're beating you. Just
right.
Figure out how to make your stuff better and not have to worry about
your car up better.
Yeah, exactly. Not worry about someone else's motor, especially if it's like a mid-stater, one of the big known brands. Mid-state ain't going to be putting cheating components in a motor, but yet you still want them to get pumped.
Yeah, and then you have, like, I'm not going to call the driver out, but there was a hobby stock driver who would get us on Doom Scroll who won a race, and they were talking to him in the interview, and he's like, yeah, it's because the guy wasn't here with daddy's money that had a stow-in motor in his car.
Yeah, I saw that one. It's like
he won. It's not because he has daddy's money. It's because he can win a race. I mean, that's the problem is we're getting to a point where people are wanting to blame it on, oh, well, they have more money. Oh, well, the R&D. Oh, well, this. Oh, well, that. Well, that's how it's always been. It's always come down to who can find the best way to do this. Who can have the best setup? Who is going to... That's what racing's always been about. That's what it's always come down to. That's, parking in victory lane or parking it back on your trailer and not going up there into tech or something. I mean, that's the problem, though, is we're getting to this point where people are wanting to blame, claim, and then no one's making their car better at the end of the day sometimes, how I feel. And it's really sad to see that right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got these guys that are claiming motors, and then they go put that motor in, and then they're running worse than they did with their own motor. So it's funny to watch.
It is. It's sad, but it's funny. So the other thing I want to talk about while I'm a little fired up right now is NASCAR decides on Father's Day weekend that they are going to go to Mexico. I would love to know who was in a group with a bunch of other executives from NASCAR, and they're like, it's almost Father's Day weekend. We got Father's Day weekend. What are we going to do? And then someone pops their hand up, probably an intern, and said, let's go race in Mexico. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Do you understand anything with that? Why would it be on a highly, highly celebrated day that I've talked to numerous people that have said, well, on Father's Day, we always went to a NASCAR race. Well, that can't happen because it's in Mexico. We're not going to spend money on plane tickets and time off of work and yada, yada, yada to go to Mexico.
Yeah,
and then only see part of the race.
It's almost like they're starting to want to be like Formula One and all that, where they're wanting to go to different countries.
They're getting more and more road courses. If you look at a NASCAR schedule this year, there's a lot of road courses. I do not understand. A couple of them here and here, like the Glen and some of those, that's fine. But then they did the Charlotte Roval, the streets of Chicago, Mexico, and it's like, why? They're a NASCAR. It's not IndyCar. It's not Formula One. It's NASCAR. It's great they're coming back to Iowa, though. I'll give them props for that. They're coming back to Iowa, so that's a good thing. But
yeah.
Expand. There are other pavement tracks that are hurting that they used to run at that they don't run at anymore. It's like, go support them. Do something else for the love of it.
Yeah.
It's just so... It's sad. I think NASCAR's in a horrible spot. If you want to... My own personal opinion, NASCAR's in a bad spot. The new cars suck.
Yeah.
The tracks they're picking suck. And they are completely getting away from their grassroots racing. And they're trying all this new stuff, and I think it's going to kill the sport.
Oh, 100% it probably will in the next... give it probably 10 years and no one will...
You already look at attendance, and it's down. And you look at everything else, and it's down. And it's like, well... They're like, oh, well, we're going to try going to Mexico. Oh, we're going to try going here. They showed the stands at one point at part of the track at Mexico, and there were about 6 people in the stands there. And it's like, yeah, ole. Like, great. Well, great, there's 6 of them up there. I can only imagine how much those people paid to go to that, and it's like, great.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Do you know how many pesos it is for $1 American dollar?
No, how many?
I was asking you.
I don't even know what to say, Cole. Oh, man. I tell you what. This... Cole, I don't even know what to say to you right now. You don't even know how many pesos is $1?
That's probably like 10, at least.
Can someone fact check this? Steve, you're going to have to chime in here and tell us what's going on.
How many pesos are equivalent
If you don't know this, Steve is having to ask Siri right now.
19.03.
19 pesos. You were close. You said 10.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah, like double that. Jeez. And you people have to suffer through this. I am so sorry for everyone watching right now. I tell you what.
They'll be all right.
They'll be all right. Oh, boy, Cole. Okay, Cole. Well, so we talked about the International Motor Claiming Association, NASCAR going downhill, Corey Day, rise and fall over the weekends, and now we're looking forward to a lot of racing action this week. Tomorrow night, weather pending, because I looked at the radar and everything for tomorrow, and it does not look necessarily great, but tomorrow night is supposed to be the Hall of Fame induction at the Southern Iowa Speedway. We have some great drivers going in there for the Hall of Fame, which is awesome to see. Friday night, there is Columbus Junction, Marshalltown, and you talked about maybe there's another track running this weekend as well that we don't get to see very often running.
Yeah, I think Thursday night Lee County's running the Hell Tour down there, so
that should be a good race. Are you going to try to go down there?
I don't know. Dad said something about going to watch, but I'm like, let's just bring a car if we're going to go watch.
Yeah, there you go. That is a tough series. The drivers that they get from all over to come to those very large tour as well. It's like, is it 2 months straight?
Yeah, it's like 35 days of racing, but no, like 35 days total, but it's like 31 races.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy thing that they do. I know they've been over in Illinois and whatnot. I've been picking up a little bit of the Hell Tour here and there, but a lot of great drivers are going to be there. Hopefully you guys can get down there and watch, if not race.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I think they're having sport mods down there and stock cars as sport classes, so I'll try to talk them into it.
There you go. We'll see how you do. Knoxville is off this weekend because of the Huset High Bank Nationals, paying over $100,000 to win. It is let's see, today is the 17th, so that show starts tomorrow. And it's the first event is $25,000 to win, I believe, tomorrow night. And then it keeps going up and up. And I believe it's $125,000 to win on Saturday night at Huset's with the World of Outlaws. So a 4-day show at Huset's now for the World of Outlaws. And a lot of the high limit guys are going to be there as well. So...
yeah, I think Steve and Neil are wanting someone special on the show.
Oh, boy. I think, no, we're out of our guests for the night. We are at the end of the show here. We're wrapping things up. So we have Huset's this weekend, High Bank Nationals. Where else can people find some racing this weekend, Cole?
I think Friday is down in Memphis, Missouri also.
Correct.
They're paying pretty good, so if you're not going anywhere else, probably go down there.
Yeah, that's going to be a great race. Memphis, one of the widest and fastest dirt tracks here around down there in Memphis, Missouri. They always put on a great show down there. Has that been talked about at all for you guys going down there, or are you going to head over to Columbus Junction and see if you can pick up another W?
Oh, I think it's 1,000 to win over at CJ, draw, redraw, so it's kind of one of those things. Probably just go over there just because I'm sitting third in points right now. So,
how is the point series going for you over there? Like you said, you're setting thirds, but how are things going week in and week out for you at Columbus Junction right now?
I think I'm starting to figure it out how to be more consistent and stuff. So it's getting to be one of those things. It's just laps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're doing very well. Hopefully, you're going to get another win here soon, and we can talk about that next week on the show. So, well, alrighty, race fans, we want to thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of TNT. We want to thank Ashley here, the general manager at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. And don't forget, Thursday night, wing night. Make sure you get up here and eat some chicken wings. $9.99. Very good chicken wings here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch on Thursday nights. And again, we want to thank Mike Mayberry for being our guest here tonight, driver of the number 0 Pro Sprint car out of Fremont, Iowa. And we want to thank all of you fans for watching. My name is Safe Grafke. That's Cole Vanderwall. And we will see you next week here on TNT, the Tuesday night tune-up.
And we do thank all of our sponsors on TNT: Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, Sinclair Napa, Sigourney Motors, James Family Greenhouse, Copeland Auto Body, Nutrient Ag Solutions in Keswick, Sigourney Body Shop, and Julie's Homestyle Cafe.